Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Ohio Business Spotlight. I'm Tony Miltenberger with my co host, Greg Fay. Greg, why don't you tell everybody who is on the podcast today?
Well, I'll lead with he's a good friend of mine, and that's
And
the
we won't
biggest
hold
part he
that
plays.
against him.
Yeah, that's the biggest part he plays in my life. Is he's a very good friend of mine. He shared a committee. Jesse Gaither is his name, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. His resume is impressive. Uh, he sat on me on the Centerville Optimist 2.0 committee for the better part of the time that the committee existed. The only reason he stepped back is because he took over as president of the Americana Festival, which now, and the Americana Festival has always been in good hands, but it's passed off to even better hands now. He's been very, very active in Heart of Centerville and really taken that networking group, but really community group, and resurrecting it. And it is alive and vibrant and doing well. And Jesse just networks everywhere. Whenever I need a contact in the community, I can reach out to him because he's been around to their business, introduced himself, or they know of him and they sought him out. So, without any further ado, welcome, Jesse. Oh, and geez, I forgot to give you his full-time job. He is owner of Centerville Minuteman Press, and that's why he makes it around everybody so much, because he is very proud of the work that he does there, as he should be. I've been a client many, many times, and he's very proud of that work. He gets around to know people and really, truly understand what it is they need. So without any further ado, everybody, Jesse Gaither.
Howdy. How's everybody doing?
It's good, man. It's so glad that you're here. So thankful for you for taking the time. Let's jump into the first question. When I think about the press, the Minuteman Press, and that idea of like printing, about creating content, building community, all of this is about communication. And so I'm curious, when you think about the business world, how have you over the years developed a clear idea about how to communicate effectively?
Well, a lot of that depends on the business, right? So I think one of the reasons that I have great relationships with our customers, our clients, is that we take the time to understand their business, from their origin story through where they are in business today, and understand, how they interact with their own customers, and then tailor communication, marketing to fit that need. Some people are, they are belly to belly, eye to eye kind of what I call hand-to-hand combat kind of salespeople or business types, and others, it's purely digital. They are only in the digital space, and so we have a great graphic design team here that can cater to either the digital or the print marketing space. Obviously, our bread and butter is print marketing. I say we do everything from business cards to billboards, and it really is a matter of understanding, what those customers are looking for, and what's going to work best for them. I say that I'm not a great salesperson because I turn away a lot of business when people think they know what they need, and then as we kind of understand where they are in their business trajectory, what they might think they want isn't exactly the best bang for their buck, and so we might dial back a campaign. And I give up a lot of money just making sure that they're going to get a good ROI on their marketing spend.
That's so good. Greg, you got a question?
Tony, I just wanted to. I'm lucky to have worked with Jesse on so many different fronts, from him sitting side by side with me and collectively building a service organization or a spinoff of a service organization to the customer side. And I always think of when my best friend used to sell cars. He sold me many cars, and he never shortchanged me. I never got the, hey, you're my friend, shortcut. And Jesse's the exact same way. I probably try to move through the sales process with him or his team a lot quicker, and they are just fantastic about slowing you down, helping you understand the impact of a decision that you're getting ready to make, and oftentimes spend either hundreds or thousands of dollars. And I can just speak to that right there. He's a great listener, and that's what's made. I'm confident that that is what's made since he took over. How long now have you had Centerville Minuteman Press, Jesse? And kind of give us a little bit of the timeline on how all that took place.
Yeah. So we bought the business in September of 2016. So it'll be 9 years this fall. And it was an existing company, that was run by another great community leader, Fred Polizzi, did a great job building the business. And Fred was very good at the business finance side. But, I'm sitting in front of some of my dad's artwork. So my dad was a wildlife artist. I grew up in a creative world. My dad, my uncle, my brother, my mom were all artists, and my parents met at my grandparents' newspaper company. So I've been around print marketing and communication, as you mentioned, Tony, for a long time, and so coming into this, it was kind of like coming back home. I'd been around print my whole life, and my grandparents had sold their newspaper business to the Cincinnati Enquirer when I was in high school. My dad sold his publishing company, his art, and retired early and became a full-time fisherman, a professional fisherman. And so I went the chemistry route. I went like a completely opposite direction. I went into analytical chemistry, and then a master's in economics. I love numbers, and that's the one thing I love about print marketing in general, is that it scratches both sides of my brain, right? It's left brain, right brain. You're talking technical, very analytical, but also creative and impactful, emotional kind of things every day. And so I should have done it 10 years prior. I should have been in this business 15 years, but it's been a great run, and we've grown that graphic design piece, because it's so passionate for me, there are over 600 Minuteman Press shops in the United States. It's a franchise, and we are, year after year, we are at the top in terms of percentage of our revenue that comes from graphic design. We're 3 times the national average, because it is very important to us, and it's a great way to give micro business, very small businesses, really heavy hitting graphic design for a reasonable price. We're not a New York marketing company that's going to charge you $5,000 for a print ad design. We do it on a budget that the micro enterprise, the solopreneurs and the small businesses can afford.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned and Greg also mentioned was your team and your processes, and this idea of like you're surrounded by good people. I think that there are a lot of leaders who are listening who struggle with, how do you know when to hire the right person? What's kind of your process? How do you look at a lens to say, this is definitely someone I want to bring into my family? Because that's essentially, what a business our size is it's a family business, right? You're in it to win it. And so it has a direct impact on everything. So how do you know when you've got the right person interviewing for the job in front of you?
Well, as you mentioned, it's a small space, right? It's a very intimate environment when you only have, there's 6 of us here, we're a small company, and we spend a lot of time together. Mm-hmm. So we have to have good interaction. So part of my process is knowing that they're going to be working intimately on a daily basis, and I'm not always going to be around. As I kind of go through an application process to hire somebody new, it happened today, actually. We hired a new person today. And I step out of the picture. I think that this is the right fit, but then I let my team interview the candidate. Oftentimes this is a part-time position, but if it's a full-time job, I send everybody out to lunch without me. and get to know each other kind of in a off-site environment in a very informal way. And then the team comes back to me and tells me, is this a good fit or not? And there's two reasons for that. One, I believe in democracy, right? I mean, I
Right.
want this to be a democratic environment. So their input is important in everything that we do, whether it's buying a new piece of equipment or, you know, taking on a big project, whatever it is, they're going to have input. And so that's important. The other side of it that I freeze up, the other side of it is that the team then takes ownership of that new employee's training, their success, integrating them into our systems and processes, and being proud of that new employee's success, right, and victories. So that ownership piece that I think accelerates the team building process and builds a lot more cohesion within the team much faster.
I'll tell you what, this whole business, Tony is an executive business coach that works with large companies. I work with smaller companies, probably companies very the size that you deal with, but people look at this podcast, business owners look at it because they want to learn some tricks to the trade. You just opened up a world to a business owner of someone that's watching this right here. Because when I talk to them, knowing the right person to hire and then what process to use to figure that out. Let me ask this right here, and I'm going to steal Tony's question he often asks, but I love it. What made you, so you pulled the trigger when you were in chemistry and in economics. What made you forget about your background and what you do? Well, I guess you probably couldn't. Maybe that factored into it, but what made you, if there's someone out there that is either number one, trying to decide if they want to become an entrepreneur, or number two, they're at a very small level and really want to scale a little bit, what helped you make that decision to switch from your original background that you schooled in and worked in to jump into this?
Well, both chemistry and economics are pretty dry, right? I mean, um, I say that I was an analytical chemist, but I wasn't a very good one. I say that I have a degree in economics, which I love, but the work of an economist is pretty dry, dull. And but I've always been good with people, right? So in chemistry, I was in lab management and team management, project management, not actually, the whole time on the bench doing the work. Um, and I climbed the ladder high enough to know that I didn't play very nice with corporate structure. I even, I mean, Fortune 100 companies, and I just didn't like the way that employees were treated. I didn't like the way that ideas were generated. Again, that recognizing the valuable inputs of the lowest, person on the totem pole to the success of the company wasn't, it was always seemingly a top-down approach, right? Just, whatever the big dog in the corner office said, that's the way we're going to do it, regardless of whether it was going to have any success in implementation or not. So I wanted to, I got to a point where I was seeing a lot of I saw my future forecasted, where people in their mid 50s were getting, organized out. They were, being downsized
Sure.
and they were lost. They're in their mid 50s. They're kind of at the peak of their income and they can't recover. And I came home from one such instance and I told my wife, I said, the writing's on the wall. Like 10 years from now, I'm going to be obsolete. The industry's going to age me out. And we have to be the masters of our own destiny, right? So let's do this on our own. Let's find a business that will, inspire us, that we can have some passion for. We spent about, 18 months exploring the market, exploring businesses. We needed something that was going to be cash positive on day one. I jokingly say that I'm not I'm neither smart enough or ambitious enough to start something from new as a pure entrepreneur. I needed something that was a good model for success, and Minuteman was one of them. I mean, it's got a great structure. It's got great processes in place. I wasn't going to have to reinvent the wheel. I just had to perfect the way that the wheel rolled. So and that's what we did, and it's been great. I mean, I don't make a very good employee. A lot of days I don't even make a very good boss.
As
So,
most entrepreneurs don't, but you can now add forward thinker to your resume.
yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to. I figured if I was going to crash and burn, I was going to do it on my own. Like I would only have myself to blame and not some corporate, decision or a buyout that eliminated my department or something like that. So, and we've been very successful. I've been, very thankful. I have a brilliant team that really can operate in my absence. And my wife and I just got back from 3 weeks in Spain, and we had one of our best months. We were about 40% up over our average for that month. And I came back to the office, and I got the impression that they'd rather not have me here. So, and they said, like, you do your best work when you're not in the office. So get out there and, slay the wildebeest and drag it back, and we'll take care of it.
That's so good. Greg mentioned it, and it's obviously it's all over your story, is your love for the community. Talk to the business owner about the benefit of being engaged in your community in such a way, because I get the impression that it's not about networking as for you as much as it is about just loving on your neighbors. How has that approach changed the way that you do business?
Tony, you asked that question perfectly. That is right. I'm anxious to hear Jesse's answer. That was perfectly worded.
It's not for everybody. There's another Minuteman Press owner in the region that uh, doesn't do the networking and community involvement. He's very involved in his kids' sports and his kids' school, but beyond that, it's kind of a 9 to 5 job for him. I was raised in a household and in a family where community engagement, volunteerism, just being involved in community building was paramount to our family. And so I kind of carried that forward. I married into a family, the Wilson and Towson family of Warren County, that was exactly that too. Always involved in nonprofits and boards of directors and that kind of thing. And I don't look at it. I mean, business comes, right? It's a
Right.
matter of building those relationships, and it takes time. And uh, when I was the president of the Heart of Centerville, one of my catchphrases was, volunteering is where the rubber meets the road, meaning that, when you're doing something for the community alongside somebody else, you gain a deeper understanding of who they are and what they do. You can see that if that's the way they are in the community, that's probably the way they are in their business, and that's probably the way they're going to be as either a vendor or a customer, right? And that you can call them up and say, hey, have a frank conversation about your need or about an issue that they have. And so it just deepens relationships, right? And I'm kind of addicted to it at this point. If it could be my full-time job, just doing the volunteer work around the community and giving back. I tell my kids all the time, like, being born in the United States, you already won the genetic lottery, right? Like, you won the human
Absolutely.
lottery just being born here. So you've got to take advantage to the fullest of the opportunities that you're given, but recognize that on a daily basis you have to give back,
Yeah.
and help wherever you can. Apply your skills and your abilities as broadly as possible, because there's always a need, and there's all and we have to. That's the way we show appreciation for the the abundance that we have as a family.
That's so good. Um, I often want to ask an advice question where what advice would you give to a new entrepreneur, somebody starting out, maybe who's leaving a field that doesn't feel like it's very fulfilling, but they're sitting across from you and they're like, Jesse, I'm going to start my business. What's the first thing that you're going to tell them to do? What's your golden piece of advice that we can steal?
Don't do it. Um, it's not for everybody, right? Again, like volunteerism and community engagement, small business ownership is not for the meek at heart. Um, and not everybody is built for it, right? I think that everybody needs to do some real soul searching to make sure that they can wear every hat. You have to be the bookkeeper, you have to be the marketing executive, you have to be the production worker, you have to be the janitor, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. You have to do the whole thing. And some people are really good at one thing, but not all of the things, and don't have an interest in learning all of the things. So that's my first. I mean, it sounds,
No, it's good.
you
That's
have
so
to
good.
I think, really know that not only that you have a passion for what you want to do, but you have ability and interest to do the other things. And if you don't, then budget for somebody to do those for you, right? Like, I tell folks that a good friend of mine, the first rule is, you got to pay yourself, right? You got to monetize it so that you have an income. But you also have to budget to pay for services that you don't want to do. I love bookkeeping, I love numbers, but I don't add any value there, right? I don't add value just balancing the books every week. So I have a bookkeeper, and she does a fantastic job. And I would do that if I do that when it has to be done. But to know where your strengths are, where you're going to add the most value to your business, focus on that, and then bring in the resources that you need to do all of the other things, because it's not just about what you're doing. It's also cash flow, and it's also forecasting, and it's also market analysis, and there's so many other pieces to just making the widget or doing the thing that you love.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, as we end our time together today, we always love to ask people, what are 3 businesses in the Miami Valley that you absolutely love and that we should have on the show?
Oh shit. Man, there's so many. I I hesitate to name to have on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let me
Or
think
just 3
about that for a
businesses
minute.
that you love. Like if you're like, man, these are my 3, like lately they've just been showing up. Don't overthink it. Just go with your gut.
Yeah, say 3 that'll say yes. Okay. Make our job easy, Jesse.
So I'll tell you one that a couple that really inspires me. Greg may already know them. It's Andrew and Tanner Banks with Performance Wraps out of Miamisburg. It's a young couple. They're doing it right. They're doing it together, and they just have a vision for their company that is just really impressive. So Performance Wraps, Tanner and Andrew Banks. I would say, oh man, this is tough. There's just so many. Well, I definitely reach out to oh shoot, Matt and Rhonda from Meridian in the Uptown District. They are 2 that have both full-time jobs, and they put together one of the coolest spots in the Miami Valley there at Meridian, and they have just a beautiful place and a beautiful mindset. The third,
You might not have hit the quantity number, but you certainly hit the quality number.
yeah,
Those are
thank
some
you.
good ones right there.
And the third would be, man, there's just so many. I feel like I'm gonna offend people if I leave some out. The third would probably be Gary Hardy with Bruner's Lawn and Landscape. Gary and his partner Josh have their own podcast, so they would be polished for this. They've got all the right gear. But Bruner's Lawn, and they are just on an absolute tear. Their motto is serving our customers with quality, dependability, and respect, and they live it. I mean, they live that motto, and their whole team lives it. And I just he's a dear friend. He's a vet that just he brings family value into his business and delivers it to his customers. So those would
So
be the
good.
three. But I have to, more than anything else, shop, eat, drink, and invest in your local community. That's the most important thing.
Yes, sir.
You've got to keep the dollars circulating tight and support those that are going to support you.
Love it.
Jesse,
Greg,
I'm so
why don't you
thankful
close us
that I
out?
invited you. I'm so thankful. Land it, Tony. I'm just so thankful for you, Jesse.
I thank you, Greg. Thank you very much.
What a great opportunity to connect with you today, Jesse. Thank you so much for your generosity of spirit. And I just want to invite anyone, if you've been impacted by this, drop Jesse a note. Let him know that you heard him here on the Ohio Business Spotlight. As always, we would not be here without you. So until next week, I like what Jesse said. Shop local, shop often. We'll talk to you guys real soon.
Peace, everyone.